from day one.
Let's bring in Jim Pfaff with the Conservative Caucus. Jim, this came down to the wire literally minutes before the deadline. What is your take on the 2-week deal?
It's a chance for Iran. They needed to be entirely delivered from the situation that they've been in for 47 years. And Donald Trump, let me just put it this way. Donald Trump, I know, was dead serious about doing what he threatened to do. And Pakistan knew that too. And they really were able to urge what's left of a decimated leadership in Iran to make a decision. And there's no way they could defend it against it. And I think better heads, at least for the short run, have prevailed. Now, I'm not looking at this and thinking everything's over. This thing can explode up again very quickly. And if they are not immediately and fully faithful in pushing aside any effort to block the Strait of Hormuz, either by using their mini drones or any other methodology, Donald Trump will be right back on it very quickly. But in the meantime, while we see if there's such a thing to be had, our military gets a chance to get a breather for a moment. They've been hard at it for weeks now, and they'll be ready to come back. It's obvious that they've been very, very effective. Donald Trump, though, and we can talk about more, I'm sure, but Donald Trump is radically and positively changing everything on the world stage that has been so wrong for so many decades. And I'm not a big fan of war. Listen, I'm sitting on the why do we ever do war end of it, but I totally get what Donald Trump's doing here, and there's probably not another president that could handle it the way he has as effectively as he has, with the help of an amazing military that's so competent and capable.
You're absolutely right. For over 4 decades, we haven't had a president who would get this job done. And we finally have someone with the guts to go in and finally end this regime, this terroristic regime, and find peace and make a deal with peace in the Middle East. But, Jim, there's a lot of questions on whether this is a genuine path to a long-term deal or just a tactical pause by both sides. I firmly believe, obviously, the United States wants peace in the Middle East, but we're dealing with a regime that's very, they're not normal. They're very terroristic. And it makes me think and go back to Hamas with Israel. When Hamas kept going back over the yellow line in Israel after a peace deal was made, they released the hostages. That was President Trump's #1 goal. That happened. And then, you're dealing with Hamas going over that yellow line, not living up to their deal. And then now we're dealing with Iran. Will they live up to the deal? And you're absolutely right. We're dealing with a president who is not going to take any bull from them, and he will go back in if he needs to.
Listen, if I would not want to give any impression that this is going to be over after 2 weeks. If I were to put money on it, there will be military engagement either during the 2-week period or shortly thereafter when Donald Trump is not satisfied with frankly an unconditional surrender. And I think that the unconditional surrender needs to be the objective here. This is about caring for the Iranian people in a way. Obviously, it's for Donald Trump. He cares about what's going to happen with Americans. He's clearly trying to free the Iranian people to determine their own outcomes rather than have some radical mullahs decide, to advance their death cult on a people in a nation, which they've been doing for 47 years. So yeah, look for a re-engagement to happen. I think there's a very high likelihood of it. I mean, I am hopeful that you'll get some stuff moving through the Strait of Hormuz. Don't forget, though, what may help this hold more than anything is that China wants this oil to get moving through the Strait of Hormuz. And there were reports yesterday, and I can't confirm them, but that apparently China was telling them to stop and to allow the strait to get freely flowing again. So China's at great risk here. They get well more than 50% of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz. And they are in dire circumstance if they can't get it. They've only got so much in the way of reserves. Reports are that they have been going into those reserves because they just don't have any other sources of oil. They were getting it mostly from Venezuela and the Middle East, and that has been shut off recently. So, I think you're going to have a conflagration come back if I had to put money on it. But there's a lot of significance to this as well, too, which hopefully can bode well for a permanent peace and freedom for the Iranian people.
Let's go back, Jim. There's been a lot of talk from the president. The president, as we know, if it's on his mind, it's on his lips. He's going to say what he's thinking. The talk got heated in the last few days. I think the final straw was when President Trump posted, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." That raised a lot of concerns. The left started losing its minds, along with fake MAGA. This was President Trump's last threat, that if Iran didn't open the strait, he would rain down on bridges, power plants. But of course, we've talked about this before here on the show. The left doesn't like tough talk, it hurts their feelings. So they are calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. So the president, we get what he's saying here. He was not going to wipe out the entire country of Iran, the children and the women there who have been abused for many decades. He's basically saying, we're going to bring you back to the Stone Age. We're going to wipe out everything you have, from bridges to power plants, your military, and so forth.
I want to address that 25th Amendment thing. See, because you're right. Democrats, they get their panties in a bunch, as the phrase goes. They're wussies. They're wussy children who just do not have any sense of reality, either in their own lives, in the American lives, and quite frankly, for many of these Democrats that are elected, they're trying to overthrow the American Republic in any way they can. But let me address the 25th Amendment. 25th Amendment gets invoked not by Congress. I mean, if you want to do something about the president in Congress, then you begin an impeachment process, which obviously, if they were to gain control of Congress, would do after November. But that's their only recourse. The 25th Amendment gets invoked by cabinet officials. I'm not a big fan of the 25th Amendment. I think it's a kind of a stupid addition, but I understand why it was added. But it's just a weak way to get rid of a president that you have problems with. That's the attempt. And having a cabinet throw out a president, they're not the elected leaders. If you got it, that's why the impeachment process was there. They are just throwing that out because they are continuing this effort to try to make Donald Trump out to be a crazy person. And he's not. Just because he says something as really over the edge, as he said in that tweet, in that Truth Social post that he made. Sorry, guys, you have no idea what it takes to actually move things, and evidenced by the fact that something got moved here. He, though, is that kind of warfighter. He has that spirit about him, I believe. If Iran does not cease, move along, and allow their people to take control, I do not see Donald Trump backing away from that same sort of determination. So Democrats really are the center of the problem that we have on the international stage and here in the United States in so many ways. And the biggest reason they are is because of weak-kneed Republicans that also haven't done what they needed to do. Like George W. Bush did the second Iraq war for the military-industrial complex, not to save the country. There was no need to go to war with Iraq. He lied about it anyway. Plus, they took over our TSA agents on a lie. I mean, the weakness of Republicans combined with the determination of Democrats to create a world order that does not include the American ideal in it anywhere, that is a big part of why we're where we're at right now. They have conspired with World Economic Forum and that sort of thinking on the international stage for a long period of time. Their ideas have a strong foothold in Europe right now, which it does not have freedom, and show their weakness in this whole situation. Everything that they say, the American people can safely reject because it has nothing to do with anything that matters to them. Evidenced by the Biden administration, which was a disaster. Like, we're seeing how much of a disaster the Biden administration was. Even with this, problem of people who wanted Donald Trump to stick with the no more forever wars, and then he does Venezuela and Iran, and that feels uncomfortable once he's made that promise. And they think that this means forever wars, which I don't think it does for him in any way.